recording.
My name is Sebel. It is March 1st, 2020, and I'm interviewing Fanny Hartman for the One Story at a Time project, Viva, Shalom, celebrating Latin American Jews in Dallas. Good afternoon, Fanny.
Hi.
Will you please tell us where you are from originally?
I'm originally from San Jose, Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about when and why your family originally immigrated to Costa Rica.
Yeah, so my father's family, they were from Poland, and they, before the war started, they saw that everything was going down really fast, and they had a couple of uncles that already left, and they were in Costa Rica, so they followed them, and that's how they got to Costa Rica. And then my mom's family, actually, they went to Mexico. So my mom grew up in Mexico, and then she met my father, and then they got married, and they went to Costa Rica. So when her family got to Mexico, I guess there was like a quota of how many people can be in the city, so they need to live outside the city. So they actually live by Cabo San Lucas, around that area, but, not in the pretty side, I guess. And then after, when they were a little older, there were three sisters, they moved to Mexico City. Yeah.
Okay.
So the same story, they came right before the war started.
And so how did your parents meet?
Well, I had an uncle, well, let's see, I had an aunt. So there was this man that had two daughters when he got to Costa Rica, and his wife had died in Poland having birth to another baby. So he was a widow, and somehow he met this, or maybe it was like a shidduch, and he met this woman from Mexico. They married, they came from Costa Rica. There were two other sisters in Mexico, and both of them married men from Costa Rica.
Okay.
Like they came after the sister.
Tell us about your own life growing up in Costa Rica.
Okay, so we were two brothers and two sisters. I'm the little one, and my mom died very young from breast cancer. So I was the youngest one, and I was 6-year-old. And then I have a brother 3 years older than me, and another brother 5 years older than me, and a sister 7 years older than me. So we grew up just with my father. He worked hard, and we're very close, my siblings and I, even that I'm the only one that lives outside Costa Rica. And then my dad remarried when I was around 12, and I have another sister from the second marriage. But it was really nice growing up in Costa Rica. At that time, nobody knew what Costa Rica was. Now everybody wants to go to Costa Rica. It's a hot place to go. But it was this little town, and you said you were from Costa Rica, and people thought you were from Puerto Rico. Nobody really knew what Costa Rica was. So I grew up always like in the Jewish community. That was the way it was. We, as a Jewish kid, you went to Jewish Hebrew Day school. It was like, that's what it was. Yeah. So I went from kindergarten through high school, and it's a very small Jewish community. So my class was small actually, and we were 21 kids. So I grew up with the same 21 kids, mostly. Sometimes a kid came from Israel, maybe that were the parents for the embassy, and they worked for a few years there, but like these 21 kids, like since preschool until high school, we graduate together, and we are like a little family still. We do like a class reunion every 5 years, and it's funny, but all the ones that live in Costa Rica, most of their kids are classmates in the same school. Yes. Nowadays, not everybody goes to the Hebrew Day school. There's a lot of American schools. and, you know, there's other options, but a lot of the kids still going to the Jewish school called Weizmann. And then also we had the like the youth organization that it was called from the Hanora Tzuni. And so the weekends the same people, we used to go there. And it really, I thought it was really nice. It was, and then we had a JCC also, very nice, still there. It's a very nice place. And we grew up in temple that was the only one in Costa Rica at the time. So that was it. It's for me it was really different when we came to the States. That was one of the things that, like, I don't know, this is, I think a lot of people in Latin America will tell you this, but this is kind of Latin American style. Like, you go to temple and like they follow like the Orthodox way, like women upstairs, men downstairs, and they follow like all the readings, and inside everything needs to be kosher. But the Jewish community as it is, like nowadays maybe a little bit more people are religious, but people only at the temple are religious, most of them. So nobody really was kosher in their houses, or we always, you know, ride our cars and everything. You know, even I think the JCC was open on Shabbat, but the temple was, you know, they follow all the Orthodox. That's so for us was kind of like, where do we go? You know, here in the States, so we try a little bit of everything.
Do you still have family in Costa Rica?
Everybody's in Costa Rica. Everybody. Yes, all my siblings are in Costa Rica. We visit each other a lot. I go. It's very easy actually. You know, to go to Costa Rica. It's like a 4 hours flight from Dallas. Yeah. So we are really close, and every time we have like a simcha, wherever, everybody comes, and wherever is in Costa Rica, I go. So yeah, we visit each other. Yes.
So how and why did you make the decision to leave Costa Rica?
So my husband, like, I think we were like high school sweethearts, and he's a year older than me, and also like most of the kids also, when you graduate high school, we used to go to Israel for a year. I went to Hebrew University for a year. My husband went a year before, and he decided to join the army in Israel. He was the Tzava. He was a paratrooper in a select, you know, it's called Sanhanim, and it's one of the Oref. It's called the Oref Sanhanim. So we were there, and then he finished the army. He came back to Costa Rica, and he went to medical school there, and he finished, and we wanted to come for him to do his residency training, and then he did his fellowship, and then we stayed.
So did he do his residency here in Dallas?
He did, yeah. Like his residency training, he did in Indiana at IU, and then his fellowship, he's an endocrinologist, he did UT Southwestern in Dallas, and then we just stayed around here.
So that's how you ended up in Dallas.
Yes.
Once you made the decision to leave, how were you feeling about that? I mean, you had grown up there, and your family was there.
Yeah, it was a difficult decision, and it's gonna surprise you, but it was tough because we have triplets. We have baby triplets. They were very little. I mean, they were almost 2 years old when we came to the States. So it was a handful. Yes. So first we went to Miami, and my husband studied for his boards. They're pretty difficult, poor thing, but I told him, you do them once. If you don't pass those boards, I'm out of here. And he passed them. That's why we're here. And then we came to Dallas, and we're very close friends with the Jaime Davidson. He's a doctor in Dallas, and my husband was at his office doing some work, waiting for his boards to come. And meanwhile, my kids went here to the JCC, to the, I guess it's when they were like 2 years old, around 2.5. But actually, we went to the one in Plano, and there was this little J in Plano. Yes, so he passed his boards, and first, actually, they chose him to go to New York, and we said, there's no way we can live in the city with 3 little babies. And then we went to Indiana, really good program. My kids went to the JCC preschool in Indiana, and then we came back to Dallas. It was something we really liked Dallas, and he got accepted to do his fellowship at UT Southwestern, so we came back to Dallas.
What were your feelings and first impressions of the U.S. when you came here?
Well, I have been in the U.S. before, like visiting, and I guess, that was not like this scary part, because I knew that I would be like in contact, with my family, but it was an overwhelming time, with 3 little kids, and my husband was always at the hospital. I used to take my kids to see him at the hospital. Yeah, we used to bring like sushi, whatever. But for me, one of the biggest shocks that I didn't expect, that's when, we moved to Indiana. This really was like another different thing than what I grew up, like really cold, very different, at those, in those time now, there's a lot of more, maybe Mexican, I think, people, and more Latino people in Indiana, but Indiana was very, very, very American, like people used to see me speaking Spanish, and it was like, my husband at the hospital, he was doing internal medicine, and they used to call him, to the liver babies, because nobody spoke Spanish, at the hospital. And so my kids entered the day, and one day the teacher called me, and she's like, we just wanted to tell you, that your kids are sweating at school. We have heaters inside the school. You don't need to dress them like that. I was dressing them back like to go skiing every day. It was so different from me. But we enjoy it very much. But I really wanted to come back to Dallas. I knew some people already in Dallas, and I kind of love Dallas. So they offered my husband to stay in Indiana. He blamed it all on me. I didn't care. Yes, I mean, people were very nice, but I really wanted to come back to Dallas.
So you had friends here. So how was your adjustment to moving to Dallas?
I always have a little bit of a different story having triplets. And for me it was very important that my kids were individuals. They look very much alike, 3 girls, and I really wanted them to be like each one their own person. So for me, it was very important that they were in separate classes, at school, and I had all this other set of things that really people don't have. And so we moved here, and they were studying 1st grade, and so they went to Shalom for 1st grade. But then it came 2nd grade, and they closed one of their classes. There were only 2 classes, and I was like debating, and I decided to go to public school after that. And when my husband finished the fellowship, they really needed an endocrine doctor in Arlington, so he started his practice in Arlington. And then we moved to Arlington because it became really difficult, with the kids that they were here and he was there, so we moved to Arlington. So they actually grew up later there. They went to school there, and we used to join the temple in Arlington. There is a Reformed temple, and a few years ago there came the Chabad, but it was in the latest year. So they went to Sunday school there, and they graduated from high school, and I have 3 pretty good girls. Yes,
All
I'm very
girls.
proud of. Yeah,
Girls.
very, very proud of them. Yes. had nobody here because they were all in college and, so Sharon, she went the whole way at UT in Austin, and she is an art therapist. She worked with special people and in the hospital with cancer patients, and also she works out with autistic people or people with disabilities. So that's Sharon, but she went to UT. And then Laura, when she started school, she went to Portland. She was very sure that Portland, Oregon, she wanted to start art, and she wanted to go to Portland. And then she found about this program all the way in Delaware, and she interviewed, and she moved from coast to coast, and she is an art conservator. She did her master's also in Delaware as an art conservator. After living, she worked in the Netherlands, in Madrid, at the Prado, in the Met, and then the last years, I'm very happy to say that the Dallas Museum of Art brought her, and she's the art conservator at the DMA. And Diana, she went to school in Washington State. First, she graduated there in art as well, and when she finished, she worked in the art fields, and then she wanted to do also the program that Laura did. She was not so sure that that's what she wanted, but she decided to take, because she only studied like studio art, she needed to take all these chemistries, and so she did it, and she worked in Delaware at the studio, and then she went into the program. It's a tough program to get in because they only take 10 people a year, and so Diana also is an art conservator, and she worked at MoMA in New York. She's been in MoMA, and she's in New York.
Where did all this artistic background from you? Okay,
yes.
well tell us about you.
So I went to college in Costa Rica. I'm a graphic designer. That's what I was trained. And I worked as a freelancer for many years, but then for many years then I actually joined my husband. I had done a lot of the business part of his solo practice that he has. And so I worked with him a lot. And when my kids left to college, I found myself with a lot of time in my hands, and I was always interested in glass. So I went actually to upstate New York to take a glass class and start with this and there, and then I have a glass studio that I enjoy a lot, so I work with glass. And I think, yeah, they got it from me. But, all of them really have careers where they need to have science and art. That, Sharon is a therapist, and Laura and Diana, both of them needed to have all these chemistry classes, and it's a lot of chemistry what they do, and they take X-rays and MRIs of the paintings, and yeah. So I guess they're a bit of a mix. And Sharon, now she got married, and we have a brown baby. Yeah, we have us crazy.
What differences in Jewish customs have you found between Costa Rica and Dallas?
I guess the biggest was, like I said, that we grew up in a very small community, and Dallas is really big, really spread out, a lot of activities, a lot of different choices, so that for me was the biggest shock, it's, like I said, it was still today, I go to Costa Rica, I know everybody, it's, I get together with my friends, it's the same little community. It got a little bit more open, but of course here it's more open, or you have a lot of choices, like I said, a lot of people everywhere. I think I like that you can go and always meet new people here in anything. Still today, I go to Costa Rica there's a lot of new people in Costa Rica that have migrated like from a lot of Latin American countries with problems, like Venezuela, Colombia. Costa Rica actually is a very stable country. There's like very democratic, no army. It's maybe one of the only countries in the world with no army. And so a lot of people, when there were problems in Argentina, so now that I go to Costa Rica, there's a lot of people that I don't know. And also one of the things that it's so I told you when we first when we were kids, we grew up and there was the school and the temple and the Jewish community. Actually in Costa Rica is very prosperous, and they moved the temple to this. It's like extraordinary. Yeah, you can Google it, like Share Zion, and it's like an architectural beauty. Yes. So that's like I said, it's a very big temple for everybody. But in the last years also, a lot of Americans, they go and retire in Costa Rica. So there is also a Reform community now that there was not in Costa Rica. And then it's been years, but there's a Chabad. And then there are some temples, we think like in two beaches in Costa Rica, a lot of people, a lot of Israelis are, that lives at the beach. Actually there's like this zone called Santa Teresa, another one, Jaco. There's a lot of Israelis that actually they were pretty smart. They bought a lot of land. They sold it for much money, and they stay. There's a lot of Israelis, and for tourists, there's a Chabad also at the beach now, and yeah. But all of that is very different for me.
Were there some Jewish cultural traditions and foods and things?
Yes.
And that are in Costa Rica that are different from what you experience here? What did you bring with you?
Yeah, just most, like I would say, even when I was growing up, I'm gonna say like 95% of the Jewish community in Costa Rica came from Poland or from Germany, so we're all Ashkenazis. Now there's some Sephardim that have come from other places, but it's a totally Ashkenazi community. In the other hand, next to us, there's Panama. It's a very Sephardic community. They came from other places, but in Costa Rica, most of the people came from Poland, I think, and a few from Germany. So yeah, we still, my sister is a very good cook, so I always call her like, give me a recipe for this and that, and we like for the holidays, we cook very Ashkenazi. Yes, and I have friends here, like one of my very best friends, she's Sephardi, so she cooks totally different. She's from family from Colombia, and I think they came like from Spain. So yeah, that's very interesting for me. That was Jewish food. Everybody was.
So you didn't find the foods here any different from what you had grown up with?
No, and actually my husband, he had an aunt. It was, I guess it was like that everywhere, that everything was more low-key, yes. And so she used to cook for all the weddings and all the bar mitzvahs, and everything was just like at the Jewish community center, so yeah, she was the cook for all the celebrations.
So what have you imparted to your girls about, growing up in Costa Rica?
Yeah.
That's where their relatives and their ancestors
Yes.
had settled.
They grew up going a lot to Costa Rica, and there's always this cultural shock, and my kids, they're Americans, they came here, and they are, they all work in the arts, and they're very open-minded, and I grew up in this small community, and they, I guess they taught me also, that there's more than this, so I said, I grew up with 20 kids, and, they graduated with,
Yeah.
I don't know, 500 kids from all, and me, I sometimes think if we had stayed in Costa Rica and there was this small Jewish school, what will happen? I don't know if they would have gone there because they're smaller and smaller, also the classes because kids go to another schools. And like one of my nieces graduated and there were 6 girls in the class. Other years there are like 20, but anyways, there's never 3 classes for my kids. So that I love from here. For me, it really was very, very important that they are very much have each one of them their own lives. So that I really like, that they had this opportunity here. A lot of opportunities. They really have really really exciting and different jobs that also I don't think that they could have had in Costa Rica. What are you gonna do there with a master's in art conservation, And my daughter Diana, she's specialized in modern art, and what are you gonna do with that there? So yeah, we had all these opportunities here.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that I just want to add that I really love to live in Dallas. I think I love Dallas people. I love the weather. I love that, it's easy to travel anywhere. I have a lot of Latin friends, American friends, and I wouldn't imagine myself living somewhere else than in Dallas.
Tell me about your Latin friends here. Do you all have, particularly Latin American Jewish friends, or?
Mostly yes, but I also have some friends. I have a good friend, she's from Costa Rica. It's kind of a funny story, but my husband found out that my brother had thyroid cancer. But it's okay, he came to have his thyroid taken out here, and we were at St. Paul when there was St. Paul still, and somebody came into the room and asked if that she came to translate, and we told her, like, we really don't need anybody. And she left, and then she came back, and she said, sorry, but are you from Costa Rica? I can hear an accent. And we met like that, and her husband is also a doctor, and they're actually Mormons, and they live in Dallas. But most of my friends, I guess, they are from the Jewish community. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. This
Thank
was
you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. This is so nice that you are doing this with all the Latino. I think the Latino community in Dallas had given a lot to Dallas also, a lot of good people and from a lot of different places. So I think this is really nice.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.